Hello, it's Dr. Kathleen Cannon, naturopathic physician, Dr. KC for short. I have my website right on here in case you want to get any additional information before we get started. And thank you for joining for this webinar, Top 5 Stress Busting Hacks. So we're going to go through these hacks, but first we're going to talk about background a little bit. What is stress? Then we'll go through these top 5 stress busting hacks. And then we're going to talk about maximizing your energy, my new e-course. We had one really great run this fall, and I'm so excited we're doing another run starting on January 1st. So I want to share that information with you, and I want to be upfront about it. That's going to be coming after we go through these 5 stress-busting hacks. Okay, let's get started. So, what is stress? We all have a definition of stress already, right? It's not new to you, but technically, stress is really just the natural physiological response in the body. Stress is not a negative thing on its own, even though we have that kind of negative connotation around it oftentimes when we talk about something stressful. Our perception of stress plays a big role in how we understand and how we experience stress. And how the stress kind of affects us, how long it lasts, what other factors are involved, all of that matters too. There's a lot that goes into stress, but overall, remember, it's a natural physiological response. So short-term stress can actually be helpful. And we don't often think of stress as helpful, but short-term it can be. And then longer-term or chronic stress responses can be harmful, especially if it's chronic stress that goes on day after day after day, year after year. Now, stress is really meant to be short-term. Remember, it's that natural physiological response, and it's actually a survival mechanism. However, it's not meant to last more than a few hours. So a little bit more about this now. Stress is a survival mechanism. If you think back to when humans were more hunter-gatherers and we were exposed to the elements more out in nature, if we encountered a lion or a bear or something like that, we had to be able to run really fast to book it right out of there, to get away from that bear, lion, whatever it was. So the stress response kicks in cases like that. It's like an emergency switch. It kicks in and it upregulates certain things in your body and downregulates others so that you get the energy to run away from that stressful thing. So it's really a survival mechanism, but it's not meant to last more than a few hours. So stress that does last longer than a few hours, including that kind of chronic stress that so many of us are familiar with these days in our more modern world, that kind of stress is not good. It's not good physically, and it's also not good mentally and emotionally. And it's just not good for quality of life, right? You don't want to go through every day feeling stressed, feeling like there's a burden or something that needs to be kind of lifted, or if only this felt less stressful, you'd be able to enjoy life. You don't want to go through every day like that. It's not good for any of your health. Chronic stress has actually been shown to contribute to a wide variety of chronic diseases. And there's more and more research on this, believe it or not. Science is able to show us a lot around this. A review in the journal Neurobiology of Learning and Memory stated, chronic stress contributes to the development of certain pathologies by accelerating and or exacerbating pre-existing vulnerabilities that vary from one individual to the other. So really underscoring that chronic stress can play a role in disease development and for different individuals in different ways, but it can certainly be a factor there. Another review that was published in the Experimental and Clinical Sciences Journal stated, many disorders originate from stress, especially if the stress is severe and prolonged. They go on, stress can exert various actions on the body, ranging from alterations in homeostasis to life-threatening effects and death. In many cases, the pathophysiological complications of disease arise from stress. Stress can be either a triggering or aggravating factor for many diseases and pathological conditions. So again, just highlighting that stress is very much linked to physical health, and it can affect people in different ways. Stressful events can sometimes be the triggering factor or a contributing factor in different disease developments and pathologies. So, how can we manage stress now that we know that it is really important to manage stress, especially that chronic stress? Well, we can choose to actively manage the stress rather than kind of sitting back and hoping that it goes away, or just feeling relieved when whatever the stressful thing is passes. We can choose rather to actively manage the stress. And we can see stress as not a bad thing, but rather as a form of guidance that we can manage. So reframing it in that way can be helpful. Don't underestimate that. All right, so now let's talk strategy. Let's get into these 5 top stress busting hacks. So, overall, I want you to know this is not a comprehensive list of stress management tools. This is really just 5 really great stress busting hacks. And this is a really great place to start with managing stress. And with any kind of information that you get about managing stress, there's going to be things that resonate with you and things that don't resonate. So choose the one thing or the few things that resonate and leave the rest out. If you only get one stress busting hack from this, that's awesome because you have one new tool to add into your toolkit to actively manage and reframe that stress. Okay, so let's go into this. Before we do, real quick, I want you to know this is all for informational purposes. None of this is medical advice. Always check with your own healthcare practitioner before making changes. Again, not medical advice here, just informational purposes. Really great information. Okay, so stress busting hack number 1 is to release the stress. We want to get it out of your body. We don't want to block emotions or feelings. We don't want to keep things in. That's where we can find sometimes that disease developments can start to happen. We want to really release these emotions and feelings that feel stressful. It's better to express them rather than to kind of stew or let things stagnate or just sit. If you can express them, get them out, not only will you tend to feel better, but you're getting that out of your kind of energetic vibration. Because remember, mind body here, there's a definite connection. When we're talking about stress, research certainly shows that. So really moving these stressful feelings and emotions out and releasing them. So how do we release the stress? All sorts of different ways. Here are a few that many people find helpful. One is venting. Vent to a friend, vent to a relative, a therapist, anyone that you trust who's there to listen to you. Vent to them and just get it out and be heard. You can also, if you feel like you're not as comfortable sharing everything in that way, you can make a fake phone call and just hold your phone up and pretend you're talking to somebody and vent that way. You can just pretend you're talking to somebody in your car, whatever, you can get creative with it, but having a conversation around it, venting in that way can be very helpful. You can also write a letter. Now, this speaks to some people more than the verbal expression, writing a letter. You can write the letter as if you're going to send it, but not send it, but as if you're going to send it to the person who may have triggered the stress. Or you could write it to someone else. You could write it to, if you believe in a certain spirituality, you could write it to whatever you believe in there. However that resonates with you, writing can be helpful. Sometimes people also really like to verbalize in a loud way, let's say. So yelling, screaming, that kind of thing. If that gets the stress out, if that lets you feel a release, do it. But do it in a way that's not going to necessarily upset the people around you and cause more stress to come into play. So there's lots of ways to do this. For example, yelling in the car. You could go to like a more rural park or something and yell. You could go in the woods and yell. If you live in a place where there's not a lot of other people around, you could yell, scream. Getting things out verbally like that, and especially at those more aggressive, in a sense, more intense volumes and intensities, that can be very therapeutic for some people. And then singing a song, there are many songs, for example, about breakups or about overcoming things. Sometimes that kind of singing along with a song like that can be really therapeutic. It can make you feel less alone and make you feel like you're connecting, but you're also getting those emotions out. So these are just a few ways, but really releasing that stress rather than holding it in and just thinking about it. If you can get it out some way, again, we talked about venting, writing, yelling, singing, be creative, come up with other ways. You can also exercise it out, potentially dance it out, which ties into our next hack. Stress busting hack number 2 is to move your body. So, physical movement is wonderful, we know, right? But it also moves our energy and it can really help to shift our frame of mind. The old kind of saying, get a change of scenery, it really is true. When you change your environment, but also your physical stance, it affects your mental and emotional well-being. It really does. If you've heard of there was research around this a while ago, but if someone is unhappy and they smile, the act of smiling, the movement of those muscles actually increases feel good chemicals in the body. And by doing nothing else rather than moving those smile muscles, it's because it's conditioned that way. So simple, right? So, not in exactly the same way, but an example of how moving the body can really facilitate changes in the mental, emotional aspects of well being as well. So, ideas for moving your body: go outside for a walk, go for a run, take a dance break, stand up and stretch, walk around your home or your office. So, getting outside can be wonderful. If you're able to get outside right now in the Northeast US here, it's very cold. So that can sometimes put a damper on things for some people. But if you're able to get outside, nature can also be very stress relieving and therapeutic. A dance break can be really fun, and it can just be you put on a peppy song for a few minutes, even for like 30 seconds, and just kind of get a mental, physical boost. I used to actually work in an office where a dance break was a thing that happened every week. It was an opportunity for everyone to just take a break and go dance it out. It was really cool. And then standing up and stretching. Stretching itself is so wonderful. If you're not in the habit of stretching at least once a day, do this. And if you tend to be sedentary in your work or what you're doing during the day, stretch at the end of your work day or your sitting time. Stretching can be so great. It moves those kind of the muscles, the fascia that's just been in more or less one position for an extended amount of time. And then just walking around your home or your office, super simple. If it's not as doable, if you feel like it's maybe not as doable to get outside or to get up and dance, just do a walk around whatever your environment is. Don't make this challenging for yourself. Make it something that you can do, and just start with doing that. Getting up and moving around, walking around, and maybe you do a little stretch, you raise your arms up or out. All right, so really moving your body, very effective. Stress busting hack number 3: breathe. When we're stressed, our breathing becomes more shallow. That shallow breathing can actually make us feel more stressed. When we talk about shallow breathing, we're talking about really kind of quick in and out breaths that if you put your hand on your chest, you feel your chest go up and down often when you're doing those shallow breaths. The air is not really filling up all of your lung capacity. You're just taking really short, shallow breaths. The air is kind of, you can think of it as only going into kind of the uppermost portions of your lungs. It's not permeating really further than that because you're taking really short in and out breaths. We call that shallow breathing. Now, taking deeper breaths can help to calm and soothe the body's stress response. And it's also actually better for your body and your mind. So try this when you're feeling stressed, and you can try it now as well. Place one hand on your belly and one hand on your chest. Then breathe in and notice which hand moves more. Both hands may move. So notice which hand moves more. Then, after you've noticed that, try to inhale more slowly and deeply, really filling up your belly. Kind of imagine that the air is really going in deep, filling up where that hand on your belly is. The goal here is to feel only or mostly your belly hand move and not so much your hand that's on your chest. We really want those deep breaths to go in. So try that a few times, and try that, pause here if you want, or try this later, but breathing can be so helpful with stress management. Stress busting hack number 4 is to pause for some self-care. Allow 10 minutes at a minimum for yourself every single day. This is your time, your self-care time. This is not a luxury. It's not an afterthought. This should be a part of your daily routine. We often think of self-care as something that's indulgent or luxurious or self-centered. And yes, it is self-centered, but it's for your well-being. It is not a luxury. It's not an afterthought. If you're thinking, how I don't have any free time, I don't have extra time to do that, you have to prioritize yourself and you have to simply make time. It's that simple. And the simplest things are sometimes the hardest to do. For example, this could mean you get up 15 minutes before you typically do, and then you do your morning routine to whatever extent, and somewhere in there you find the 10 minutes. Maybe it's first thing, you set that alarm, you get up, you make yourself a little cup of tea, and then you have 10 minutes for yourself, and you sit and you gaze out the window, or you sit and you just breathe or relax with your cup of tea. It can be super simple, but this is very important. And one other thing here that sometimes can be helpful for people is if you're feeling very stressed during the day, pausing, even though it sounds like, why would I pause if I'm really stressed? I need to keep going. It's often the mentality. If you pause and go into a restroom, for example, even if you're in a public place, you can go into a restroom, or if you're somewhere where you can go into your car and that makes more sense, and just sit there for a few minutes and let yourself decompress a little bit. You can breathe, you're moving around to get there, and you're pausing. This can be so effective. It's so simple, but carving out that little 10 minutes every day, the routine of doing that daily is so powerful. It shouldn't be every few days, every other day even. It should be every single day. Now you can work up to that every single day, but don't let it take a really long time. You want to take care of yourself, your health, your well-being. This is so important. Again, remember, and write this down if this resonates. Self-care is not a luxury. It's for your health. Okay. Stress busting hack number 5. I love this one. Take a gratitude perspective. This is so powerful. This is something that is talked about so much in self-development and self-growth and managing our expectations, taking a gratitude perspective. So just asking yourself, what's something I'm grateful for? And then kind of lingering in that thought. When you think of something you're grateful for, what do you feel? What kind of feelings does it bring up? For example, if you have like a kitty cat and you're so grateful for that cat, when you think about the cat, what do you think of? Do you think of kind of like warm, fuzzy feelings? Do you think about the purring sound or the big eyes when it looks at you, or how happy it might be, or maybe how silly it is when you get home? That kind of just feelings that feel good. Linger in those and feeling grateful for those. Bringing that gratitude in can be so powerful. And this can be unfamiliar for a lot of us. But bringing that in a little bit at a time can be really powerful. And if you're doing it, if you're in that feeling and then something distracts you, maybe your cat comes over and paws at you and distracts you, that's fine. Bring yourself back to that place of feeling gratitude and just breathe and stay there as long as you can. There's other gratitude practices that can be really helpful. Another popular one is journaling, or writing down 1, 3, or 5 things that you're grateful for every day. There's so many gratitude practices really that can be really wonderful. But the main idea is we want to stay in that feeling of gratitude and appreciation and goodness as long as we can. That can really help to move us through stress. It refocuses the mind, the body, the emotions. It refocuses things, and it can shift those neurotransmitters, those chemicals in the body, and help us to manage our stress response better, especially with chronic stress. This is something you can make a part of your daily routine as well if you feel like it's resonating. So those were my top 5 stress busting hacks. There's so many aspects to managing stress. These are really some of the best ways to start, but of course, these are not individualized to you. So you choose what makes sense to you in here, what resonates, and leave the rest. Now, I will say that in my e-course, Maximize Your Energy, which we'll talk about shortly, in the course we go into a lot more depth around stress and more of the research and all sorts of good stuff, all sorts of tools. And now I want to leave you with this idea. Another really powerful way to take control and manage your stress, especially chronic stress, is to manage your energy. This is your energy on a daily basis. Energy is like your body's currency. Think of it in that way. Chronic stress depletes or steals energy from your body. Managing stress and managing energy, therefore, go hand in hand really. When you're managing your stress, you're really improving your energy. And when you're managing your energy, you're really managing your stress too. These two go so hand in hand. So this really does lead into my course, which I would love to share with you. Now, if you're really not interested in this, that's fine. But I have some great information here, and if you stay with me till the end, I've got some extra special info. So the e-course that I've created, like I mentioned, it's called Maximize Your Energy. It's 10 powerful strategies to increase your daily energy so you have more time for the things that matter in life, right? What would you do if you had 10 more minutes a day, half an hour more a day, an hour more a day? What if you could accomplish more, feel more energy, and just go through your day without dragging, without, feeling worn down? What if you just had energy to power you from when you get up in the morning until you go to bed at night, and then you sleep well? And that's really what this course is all about. Maximizing your energy on a daily basis. Now, I created this course because fatigue is one of the most common complaints I hear from patients. Fatigue affects the mental, the emotional, and the physical health, especially quality of life. And fatigue almost always has multiple aspects and different contributing factors. So learning the tools to not only manage, but also to maximize your energy on the physical and mental, emotional levels, this really empowers you to make healthy changes in a lot of different areas. And this also empowers you with tools for longer term health and well-being. So you can use what you learn in the course long term. These are not quick fixes, they're not fads. They are really kind of foundational aspects to good health and well-being. So now just a little bit about me, Dr. KC. I'm a naturopathic physician. I used to work in a high-stress job before I went back to naturopathic medical school, and I did a pre-med post-bac before I was able to go to medical school. I have healed myself using natural and holistic tools, and I continue to use this naturopathic approach to health and healing, really. Some favorite things of mine are nature walks, roasted broccoli and garlic, raw cacao, which is like chocolate, nearly all animals. I love animals. I'm partial to dogs, and I love exploring historic towns, and I really enjoy warmer weather, although the New England winters do have their charm. I am motivated and committed to making positive change in the world. This is why I left my previous career to go back to school. When I went back to school, I had to go back to school for 6 years. It was not a short stint in school. I had 2 years of my pre-med post-bac and then 4 years of medical school. So some very intense, rigorous education there. And I tell you this because I want you to know that I am extremely motivated to contributing in a positive way to the world, and that's what this course is about. I want to empower you to make positive change in your health and well-being. And that's what this information is really about. And I'm honored to share this with you, and I hope that you'll join me in the course. Now let's talk about the course a little bit. So the course itself, and I'm really excited about this, the course itself is entirely online and digital. That's why it's called an e-course. It's self-paced, so you can go at your own pace as much as you want. You can also keep up with the materials as they're released. I'll talk about that in a moment. But you can go at your own pace. This is not like a live time where you have to log in at a certain time to watch a video. It's not like that. You decide when this fits into your schedule. You have access to the materials ongoing. You don't lose access after the course run wraps up. And the information that's presented in the course is really simple, straightforward, easy to use and understand. The format of the course is the 10 strategies. Remember, maximizing your energy, 10 powerful strategies to increase your daily energy. So the format of the course is the 10 strategies organized into learning modules. And each module has a strategy, or each strategy has a module, you could say. There's one new module released every week. So each week you get new information on one strategy. The strategy modules include a series of short video presentations. So these are not hour-long videos. These are videos that range from 10 to 25 or so minutes. So they're very easy to watch and finish in one sitting. This also includes, the strategy modules also include recaps for each strategy session. They include worksheet, checklists, and other resources and examples depending on what the strategy is and what's relevant to it. And then you also get a bonus week with some additional materials, things that aren't covered in the course, but are, there's so much to talk about with health and well-being. So these are additional things that can be supportive and that people tend to find quite interesting, and things that I tend to get more questions around, or that really, people find interesting. So that's why I included the bonus materials like that. All right, so the 10 powerful strategies themselves, these 10 strategies to increase your daily energy, they're not a secret. They're actually pretty simple if you look at them. In fact, here they are. So here they are, straightforward. The first one is scheduling your time and sticking to it. The next strategy is get moving. And after that, we talk about choosing whole food and then consuming adequate protein. Then we go on to talk about resting well, limiting alcohol, and then reducing refined sugars. We then talk about limiting caffeine, and then we get to social engagement, and then we end with talking about managing stress. And the strategies are in the order that they're in for a reason. So I do recommend people go through them in this order because many of the strategies build on prior strategies. Now, some people are very familiar with some of these topics already, and so they may skip over some of the topics. I do encourage you to go through each one as you go through the course because there's research included, there's tools, there's information that, one little thing may just be the thing that's like kind of the tipping point or the thing that really resonates or that speaks to you. So I encourage you to go through it all. And again, the modules, the strategies, they build on each other as we go. And so if you go through the course kind of real time in a sense, every week you would get a new strategy module. So every week you would get one of these strategies. For example, the first week we talk about scheduling your time and sticking to it. And that sets the framework for a lot else of what we're going to talk about. And in that first strategy module, you get what we talked about before. You get the series of video presentations. You get the checklist. You get the recaps. You get the worksheet. You get the additional resources, and for scheduling your time, there's different templates and tools and examples. So lots of good stuff in there. And then we go through each strategy session just like that, really, for the 10 weeks. And you can choose when you log in and view all the materials. You can do it every week, whenever you want during the week, or you can do it at your own pace. You could do the first module over a couple weeks. You could do it however you want to. So in the course, we go through each strategy in depth, one by one, right? Each strategy one by one, and we really go deeper into what exactly we're talking about with each strategy. We clarify what the subject is and what we're getting at. And then two, we talk about why it matters so much. Why are we talking about this? Why is this thing included in maximizing your energy? Why is it a strategy? And then three, we talk about how to go about implementing it, the practical aspect of things, how you can incorporate this into your already busy lives. Again, each strategy module has additional resources, checklists, worksheets, recaps, and other tools, examples as are relevant depending on the strategy. You can go through the course along with the material being released, one strategy module each week, like I mentioned, or again, you can go through the course at your own pace. And you have access to the materials ongoing. So after the 10 weeks wraps up, the materials don't go away, you still have access. And after those 10 weeks wrap up, then we'll have the bonus week, and then you still have access to things, okay? Now, it is very important to note and to be clear, this course is not in any way, shape, or form medical advice, not at all. There is no medical advice in this course. It's for educational and informational purposes only. And I do always encourage you to check with your own healthcare provider before making any changes, especially big changes, because you are an individual and your provider knows you best. So to be safe, it's best to always check with your healthcare provider. And just know this course is chock full of so much good educational information on these long-term health and wellness strategies, in addition to our goal here, maximizing your energy. It's full of so much good information. We just want to use it in a thoughtful way that's going to benefit you and that's going to be safe. So all of that said, again, this information will serve you for life. Nothing is a trendy diet. Nothing's a quick fix. There's no fads. These are strategies that empower you to prioritize your own health and well-being over the long term. You can use these forever, really. These are real, powerful, and life-changing strategies. Even just one of the strategies implemented long-term can make a big difference. These are huge. So great. So in the first run of the course that we did this fall, the initial run, we got some great feedback, which was really, really encouraging. Now, people felt, here's some of what they said. People felt that the course was paced very well and that the amount of information provided was great, that it wasn't too overwhelming, but that it was also not too little, and that it was succinct and really no fluffy stuff. You're spending your time on the course, so I want you to get the most out of it that you can in an efficient way. So here's some of what people have said. Dr. Casey has developed a comprehensive program for maximizing daily energy and improving overall health. Wonderful. And someone else said, very informative, self-paced opportunity and easy to follow. And then an excellent course. So really good feedback that we had from the initial run. And this next run coming up starting January 1st, the next run will have all of the same comprehensive information that we had the first run, but I will be updating things and tweaking things to just really make them better, and in some cases to make them relevant for the time period versus the initial run. So really good feedback, which is great. And now some details on the course value and cost. So the total value of the course here you can see is over $4,700, and this is really because there's so much included in here. There's so much that went into creating this, into including so many resources and preparing and doing all of like the video sessions, the presentations, all of the materials. So much that went into that really kind of we boiled down into this efficient program while being comprehensive. So that's really where the value is at. And again, the things that are listed here, and you can pause this if you want to take a closer look, but things that we already mentioned. So the video sessions and presentations, the worksheets are really there to keep you engaged. There's handouts, different resources depending on the strategy module. Checklist. There's also recaps that actually aren't mentioned here, and additional, examples and tools. All of this, just really, really comprehensive information, all that went into this. So the value is over $4,700 there, and now the course cost itself is $597. So with an investment of $597, you get access to this course and access for the 10 weeks and the bonus week, and then ongoing. It doesn't go away after that. Now, if you've stayed with me this far into the video, I know that you're at least kind of interested in the course. So as a holiday gift to you for being here, and because I know 2020 has been a year for so many people, I'm opening up access to the e-course for only $297 versus that $597. So that's basically like 50% off. Technically like slightly more than that, but basically 50% off. If you want to take advantage of this, use the code SNOWBALL at checkout. I know we're kind of on point with the winter theme here, but Snowball gets you the course for only $297. So just to recap here, and you can pause this slide here if you want to, the total course value is over $4,700, and that's all the content that we talked about before, all of the comprehensive materials, plus the bonuses. And the investment is $597 to gain access, but as a holiday discount, I'm opening up access to the course for only $297. You have to use the code SNOWBALL at checkout. And the checkout link is right here. This is also going to be on the next slide too. So this is another recap here. Again, the total course is over $4,700 in value. The investment in the course to gain access is only $597, but as a holiday discount, I'm going to open up access for only $297. You've got to use that code SNOWBALL at checkout, and the checkout link is right here. Now, registration for the course closes on January 1st. This is important to note. You can sign up through the 1st. So if you wake up on January 1st and you say, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm decided, I'm 100%, I'm going to maximize my energy this year. Go ahead and sign up on January 1st. But at the end of the day on January 1st, registration closes. So register sooner rather than later, no later than January 1st. And if you want to register by December 24th, you'll get an additional special bonus. Thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to listen to me share this information. And the stress busting hacks, I hope those were helpful. And I hope if you just choose one of them and start implementing it, I hope that it is very, very helpful for you. And you can draw on it whenever you need, whenever it makes sense for you. And I hope to see you in the e-course. I really do. For more information, you can go to my website, which is simply drkathleencannon.com. There's a link right on the top for the e-course. If you click on that, you'll have all of the information that I went through here today, plus some frequently asked questions. All of that's there. Now, I'm also going to paste below in the comments section the link for my website and the e-course, as well as the checkout link, so that you have all of that and you can just click and you don't have to worry about typing anything. Okay, so that'll be right below in the comments section. And I want to say again, I so appreciate you being here, and I hope this material has served you, and I hope to see you in the e-course. Happy holidays. May you be well. Thank you.